In a television studio, shows Phil Hartman and Gilda Radner sitting in chairs. Hartman: hello, I'm Hill Fartman, and welcome to our 18th installment of SNL's Crazy Critics, where one of our crazy critics will critique the last SNL episode. Joining us this week is Gladys Randanowitz, a post-woke, post-feminist author of the serial nonfiction series Scissoring Venus Flytraps. And she is also the host of a post-sound podcast of the same name, where she speaks via sign language without a camera. Welcome, Gladys Radner. And I also want to plug my festival, Burning Men, where we burn alive any men brave enough to attend. And we'd love to have you come to the festival, Hill. Hartman: I'm sorry, I'm going to have to take another rain check on that, Gladys. But what did you think of the cold open? Radner: well, I thought it was wonderful. The lovely Heidi Gardner hosted a show of the first warm day of the year in Central Park. Hartman: I believe Bo and Yang also hosted the show. Radner: I prefer not to acknowledge men after they've received plenty of historical recognition compared to women. Hartman: but Bowen's gay. Radner: is he? Okay, fine. It was hosted by the lovely duo of Heidi and Bowen, and they did great. It was one of those cold opens where they fit just about everybody in with eccentric characters, and I thought it was very funny, particularly Molly playing a woman learning to rollerblade. I could have gone without so many men in the scene, but other than that, it was great. Hartman: okay, how about Ana de Armas's monologue? Radner: not a man in sight, which was amazing. Ana did a wonderful job, at least with the parts I could understand as I don't speak Spanish. She spoke about coming to America from Cuba, learning to speak English from the show Friends, all the success she's had, including being nominated for an Oscar, and that she's been going to soon become an American citizen. Hartman: how about the Robert De Niro anecdote? Radner: why did he contact Anna's father and not her mother? Typical toxic masculinity at its worst. Hartman: oh boy, this is going to get old fast, Gladys. You have to go easier on men. Radner: men didn't even let women vote until the 1920s. I have to do no such thing. Hartman: how about the first sketch after the monologue, The Dome? Radner: it was a very funny sketch, and I shared Keenan's sentiments as to being confused as to why Anna's beautiful character would be married to a man. Hartman: I don't think Keenan's angst was that she was married to a man, but instead that she was married to such an unremarkable man, one who wasn't rich nor endowed with a hanging 8 and a standing 12. Radner: well, maybe I'm projecting a bit, but I thought the point of the sketch was that women should no longer be marrying men at all. The future is female, after all. The one part I didn't understand is why it would be surprising that a man was eating dog food. Men are all dogs. That's what I'd expect them to eat. Hartman: okay, how about the video sketch, American Girls trailer? Radner: well, the premise was outstanding. Having the women on the show portray American Girl dolls, and while it was very funny, I didn't appreciate that Sarah and Heidi's characters died and that they made light of slavery. This was a perfect opportunity for a sketch to really highlight women empowerment. Hartman: well, it is a comedy show. They're trying to poke fun. Radner: women have been poked by men's Johnsons for hundreds of thousands of years. Enough with poking women. We should be empowering them and poking the men with their own little Johnsons. Hartman: very well. How about the next sketch, album recording session? Radner: I didn't appreciate the premise of two women being forced to promote a male recording artist. Hartman: who was black? Radner: what does that matter? Hartman: well, black people, like women, have also been historically disadvantaged. Radner: when people say things like that to me, I say, why did did it have to be Martin Luther King? I would have preferred a Martin Luther Queen. Anyway, the sketch was saved by Ego and Anna doing an amazing job of undermining their male oppressors with every lyric they espoused. The two women were truly amazing in the sketch. Hartman. How about the next sketch, Spanish class? Radner. I didn't appreciate that the Spanish teacher was a cis white male, but at least the principal was female, portrayed by Punky. And it was a funny premise that the Spanish class welcomed two new students who were native Spanish speakers, and that they made the cis white male look like a fool for not being able to follow along with what they were saying. And the cameo by Carol G was great as well. If Marcella were a woman, this would have been a perfect sketch. Hartman. You really are a one-note pony, aren't you? Marcello is of Latin heritage. I would think that you'd sympathize with that, as Latinos have also been historically discriminated against. Radner. Are you kidding me? Every time I see them mowing lawns in a big group, it's always all men. Can't women also mow lawns? Hartman. Well, you could say that those that shave their pubes also mow lawns. Anyway, what did you think of the Please Don't Destroy video, Hangxiety? Radner. While of course I'm not thrilled that the PDD trio are all men, I did appreciate that they all made themselves look like fools in the video. And it was a very funny premise of them making fools of themselves at the SNL after party by drinking too much. Anna was lovely in it, of course, and I liked the part where Heidi and Bowen kissed at the party. Hartman. Oh, come on. No mention of Mikey Day's blurred out Derrere? Radner. If assholes needed to be blurred out on NBC, I don't understand why they don't blur out every man's face. That's what they mean when they say men are two-faced. They have an asshole under their back and another one on top of their shoulders. Hartman. Wow, okay. How about Carol G's first performance? Radner. Carol was amazing and did a wonderful job. I could have done without so many males in the chorus, but it was a beautiful song, even if I had no idea what the hell she was saying. Hartman. How about Weekend Update? Radner. I can't believe how much regression there has been with that long-running segment. Remember when we had Tina and Amy running the show? And now, Hartman. And now it's two men. We get it, Gladys. Jesus. Despite men being involved, what did you think? Radner. I have to hand it to him that the Trump clips of always getting people to cry around him was amazing, as was Shay's joke that Thug Shaker Central is how Colin refers to Atlanta. Despite the regressiveness of men being involved, I have to admit it was very funny. Hartman. How about Keenan's portrayal of Funky Kong and his gripes about not being in the Mario Brothers movie? Radner. There was one woman in the entire movie, Princess Peach, and I have to hear griping about not enough male apes being portrayed? There was also no Candy Kong nor Tiny Kong, female characters I had to look up who actually exist, but weren't portrayed in the movie. Keenan was great, but men griping about lack of inclusion makes me want to smash barrels over their entitled heads. Hartman. How about Sarah as meditation guru, Genesis Fry? Radner. Well, now you're talking. Sarah was amazing, as always, and I love this new character, which just like when Sarah plays herself on Update, Genesis did a marvelous job of putting that regressive cis-white male Colin Jost in his place. The male privilege sticks to him harder than that wig he has on his head. Hartman. Wow, okay. And how about Molly as herself talking about trans rights? Radner. She did a great job. Hartman. Ha! Gotcha, bitch! They doesn't use she, her pronouns. They uses they, them. Who's the regressive pig now? Radner. Shit, I apologize about that. They did great. I appreciated that, they stood up for trans rights. And it was a nice touch how they had her, damn it, them, tied to a harness and came down from the ceiling. I think they was excellent and very funny, and all for a good cause. Hartman, you might as well be a card-carrying member of MAGA with your inability to use correct pronouns. So what did you think of the next sketch, The Return of Lisa from Temecula? Radner, it was amazing to see a female recurring character. The only issue I had with Lisa is that they was Hartman. It's okay, doll, as far as we know, Lisa uses she, her pronouns. Radner, oh, thank God, the plural pronouns for singular people confuses the hell out of me. But anyway, she was being homophobic by constantly accusing Anna of hitting on her, when that's precisely what us women need more of. Women being romantically tied to other women, and not involving men in our sexual lives. But other than that, it was great to see Ego yelling, "Toss my salad," and the table shaking as she tossed the salad was great. It was great to see Lisa back. Hartman, how did you think Molly did in the sketch? Radner, oh, she was great. Hartman, gotcha again, bitch. Radner, damn it! They was great. They was so freaking great. I love them, okay? Hartman, how about the next sketch, Dog Acting School Commercial? Radner, I loved Chloe's character's name, Donna Colonoscopini, and I loved the premise of two strong, independent women having an acting school for men. Hartman, it was actually an acting school for dogs. Radner, dogs and men are synonyms, Hartman. Now go eat some dog food and stay out of my critique. Anyway, the highlight was Chloe getting the spaghetti in her mouth and trying to get that hairy man to try to recreate the Lady and the Tramp spaghetti kiss, but just like a man would, he totally ruined it by not following directions and going off stage, which made it great as live TV exposed men for being the dogs that they are. Hartman, how about Carol G's second performance? Radner, it was incredible. I absolutely loved it. And I loved the all-female band behind her. And while I didn't understand a word she said again, it was still very moving and beautiful. Hartman, okay, and the final sketch of the evening, Nail Salon. Radner, I loved how it consisted of Anna forcing her boyfriend Bowen to do something traditionally feminine, getting nails done, and then I thought it was hilarious with the reveal that Bowen's reservations were based on the fact that he had the Guinness Book of World Records for longest fingernails. It was a great gag and great way to end a wonderful show. Anna did an amazing job as host, and it's been a hell of a run with 4 straight female hosts. And Dead from the Earth, we're not alive! It's Saturday Not Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Danitra Vance, and with many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, Paul Cattermole, and your host, Jack Burns. Everybody, Jack Burns. Applause, applause, applause. Burns. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I was a comedian, actor, voice actor, writer, and producer. In the 1960s, I was part of 2 comedy teams, first with George Carlin, and later with Avery Schreiber. I also had a short stint as Warren, Barney Fife's replacement on The Andy Griffith Show, and by the 1970s I transitioned to working behind the camera as a writer and producer for the shows The Muppet Show and Hee Haw. Applause, applause, applause. Burns. and I also hosted SNL in its second season in 1977. And when I hosted SNL, I said I was nervous on Saturday nights because it reminded me of going to confession as a kid. And even now, being dead, I still get nervous on Saturday nights because it still reminds me of going to confession. I used to always go to Father Noonan because he gave me an easy penance. I'd say, "Forgive me, Father, it's been a week since my last confession. I touched myself one time." And he'd say, "Well, say one Hail Mary and watch 5 episodes of Gilligan's Island reruns." But I stopped going to confession because Father Noonan left the parish. He didn't really leave. Actually, he got traded to St. Louis for Father Gilhooly and 2 nuns to be named later. And Father Gilhooly, who came in to take his place, he was sort of an old reactionary and sexually misinformed. He'd say, "You what? You touch yourself? You want to go crazy? It puts hair on the palm of your hand." He gave me a fear when I'd want to go to the barber shop and ask him to give my palm a little trim. But it was always that way. Our football coach, Coach Qualey, he'd say, "I don't want any of you touching yourself during the season. If you do, 9 times out of 10, when it's 4th and inches to go, you'll come up short because of genitalia fatigue." And then when I went to the Marine Corps, it was the same thing. "My name is Sergeant Hennessy. If we catch any of you touching yourself during boot camp, we'll blow it away with an M16. That'll straighten you up right away." So anyway, when I was asked to host the show, I said I didn't know what to talk about. And the producer said, "Say whatever you want. I'm just shamelessly trying to get SNL's attention by having on their dead prior hosts." So I thought about my childhood. So I'd like to do something tonight that I couldn't do as a child because of my upbringing. So if this is going to offend any of the dead studio audience, feel free to avert your eyes. And those listening to the audio, feel free to avert your ears. But I'm going to touch myself right here and now on this show. And I'm sorry, Mother, but this is the way it is. Burns begins touching his stomach, chest, and face. Burns. "Ooh, ah, that's it. Woo, woo." Applause, applause, applause. Burns. "I don't know why they wouldn't let us do that as kids. There's nothing wrong with that." Anyway, we have a great show tonight. Just don't touch yourself or you'll go deaf and not hear what's happening. Paul Cattermole of the band S Club 7 is here. So get ready to bring it all back. We'll be right back.